What's going on, everybody, and welcome back once again to Luke Zach Football. And in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down and giving my reaction, winners and losers of the 2022 NFL Draft. Before we do so, though, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. So, let's get into it. So, the 2022 NFL Draft is officially now over. It finished yesterday, all 7 rounds. And I just want to go through a little bit of it here, giving my, reaction to it. So the first, pick I want to address is the number 1 overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Trayvon Walker. There on the screen, you should be able to see Trayvon Walker in a Jacksonville Jaguars uniform. This pick wasn't too surprising. Me personally, I don't like the pick because I think that, even though Trayvon Walker has the intangibles to be one of the, a generational type kind of edge rusher, it's a huge risk because this is all a projection. He didn't really produce as much as you would have liked at Georgia with the Bulldogs. I think Aiden Hutchinson would have been a safer pick, but if they're able to, clean up some of his technique, this could be a very good pick. So it is a risk, and it could pay off. Next, I want to address the 2nd overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson, staying in Michigan, being drafted now by the Detroit Lions, coming from the Wolverines. Aiden Hutchinson will probably make a instant impact on the Lions, and that front seven's a group that definitely needs some help, and he can be a one-man wrecking crew for them. The next pick I want to look at is the Texans taking Derek Stingley Jr., number 3 overall. Obviously, this was a bit of a surprise. I had the Texans taking a corner. I did not have them taking Derek Stingley Jr., though. I had them taking Sauce Gardner, but they took Stingley. Stingley, about a month or 2 ago was projected as the best corner, but injuries kind of scared teams away, and kind of everyone gravitated towards Sauce Gardner. But yeah, Stingley has the potential to be great, but the main problem is his injuries. I think Sauce Gardner would have been the safer pick. Then you got the Falcons drafting Drake London, number 8 overall, the first wide receiver off the board. Did not see that coming, but I guess Drake London kind of reminded the Falcons so much of Julio Jones, and they kind of wanted to kind of get that kind of player back. But I would have taken Garrett Wilson if they were going receiver. The Ravens were able to get Kyle Hamilton, number 14 overall, arguably the best overall player in this draft. I think he should have gone a lot earlier. The Ravens got a steal here, and it's a team now that has a team that's been struggling at the safety position over the last couple of years, but now they have Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton. Now it's one of their biggest strengths. At 16 overall, I want to look at the Commanders taking Jahan Dotson very early to take Jahan Dotson. I looked at him more like as a early 2nd round, maybe late 1st round kind of a pick, but they went and got him. Then the Titans at 18 traded up. They traded away A.J. Brown, one of the biggest stories of this draft, to the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Philadelphia Eagles extended him to a 4-year, $100 million deal. Definitely an overpay for A.J. Brown. That's $25 million a year, but I think it may be worth it anyway, because A.J. Brown, when healthy, is a top-tier receiver in the NFL. The Titans are trying to replace him by drafting Treylon Burks. They're very similar players. I think the Titans, they got a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick, but looking at what they did with their, on paper that seems like a fair trade, but looking at what the Titans did with their 3rd-round pick, they took, they took Treylon Burks, and now, in the 3rd round they took offensive tackle of Nicholas Petit Frere. I don't know which Petit Frere stands for. Petit Frere means little brother in French, in case you didn't know, so interesting there. But I think the Eagles won that trade. Then the Steelers took Kenny Pickett, 20 overall. I could see this one coming. I was surprised a little bit that Kenny Pickett fell this far. I had him going 6 overall to the Panthers. The Panthers went tackle with that pick. The Steelers, though, definitely made sense. Successor to Ben Roethlisberger. I don't think they're really sold on Mitchell Trubisky as, the long-term starter. But it is interesting how this is playing out, because Kenny Pickett is the most NFL-ready quarterback of all these guys. He's kind of like how Mac Jones was last year. Not a high ceiling but a very, not a, a low floor. Not a high risk, not a super high reward. You know what I mean? He's not going to be a top tier quarterback. But if you think he can start now, then they brought in Mitchell Trubisky, so it's like, all right, well, you have Trubisky, but this guy can kind of already start playing, and it'd be better to just let him start playing. But you have Trubisky, so it almost would have made sense to take a guy who isn't really necessarily ready to start now, like a Desmond Ridder or a Matt Corral or even Malik Willis. Speaking of those guys, we'll get to them in a bit. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Then the Chiefs at 21 traded up and took Trent McDuffie, a very good value pick. Trent McDuffie in some rankings was ranked a top 10 prospect. Chiefs get him here at 21, and it's a position that I think was their biggest need heading into this draft at the cornerback position. Trent McDuffie, no question, was the third best corner. And then another funny note is Trent McDuffie played for the Huskies, and he was number 22. Marcus Peters, 7 years ago, was drafted by the Chiefs from the Huskies and was number 22. And we all know how good of a career he's had so far. With the number 26 pick, I wanted to look at that. Maybe the steal of the draft, Jermaine Johnson, falling all the way to 26. I was somewhat disappointed that the Chiefs didn't take him, even though the McDuffie pick was very good, because Jermaine Johnson was projected to go number 1 overall in some mocks. Like, some mocks actually did have him going number 1 overall and thought he was the best player, but he falls to the Jets. Heck of a steal there. The Patriots selecting Cole Strange, number 29 overall. Major head scratcher, and you just gotta wonder, what are the Patriots doing? But more on that in a second. George Karlaftis to the Chiefs. Love the pick. Position of need. George Karlaftis was projected to go in the top 15 in a lot of mocks. I thought he would, and he falls to 30 to the Chiefs. Then at 50, another pick, quite head-scratching pick by the Patriots, Taekwon Thornton, a wide receiver, a guy I had never heard of, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, heading into this draft. He's from Baylor. But listen to the guys that they took ahead of, listen to the guys they passed up for Taekwon Thornton. George Pickens, one of the better wide receivers in this draft. Alec Pierce, another good receiver. Skye Moore, another good receiver. They took Taekwon Thornton over those 3 guys. What are the Patriots doing? But more on that in a second. The Chiefs then take Skye Moore, who we just mentioned. I think Skye Moore can be a great fit for the Chiefs. It'll be interesting to see where he works in this depth chart. He's got a lot of competition to move up in. And then the Chiefs took Brian Cook at 66. As a Chiefs fan, it was a position of need, the safety position, especially with Tyrann Mathieu leaving. I know they signed Reed, and they still have Juan Thornhill, but it was a position that needed to be addressed early in the draft, and they did here in the second round. But I don't know how great of a pick Brian Cook is in the late second round. He's not really, in many mocks, he wasn't really a second round kind of guy. He was more of a mid third round, even late third round kind of a pick. But if the Chiefs believe he was the best available safety at this point, I guess I understand. And then the Tennessee Titans in the third round got Malik Willis, the quarterback from Liberty, obviously. I mocked Malik Willis going number 8 overall to the Atlanta Falcons. That was terribly wrong. But, the Titans got him. I figured the Titans would draft a quarterback later in the draft. I wasn't too confident with them drafting one in the first or second round. I thought they wanted to go more low-key and take like a project quarterback. And that's exactly kind of what they did. They waited till the third round, but lucky for them, they got a first-round caliber player in Malik Willis. Why did a lot of teams, pass up on Malik Willis? He is a boom or bust kind of prospect, but I think, still, we've seen plenty of teams take, swings on that and it working out. So we'll see how that plays out for the Titans. I don't see Malik Willis playing at all this year. I don't think they're going to want to throw him out into the fire if things aren't going well with the Titans, so we'll see. But a few teams I want to just address their overall draft. And the first is my team, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs had an awesome draft, and this was a very important draft for them after that big haul of draft picks they got from the Tyreek Hill trade. The Chiefs had, coming into this draft, 12 picks, the most in the NFL at the time. They wound up trading away 3 of them. They wound up only using 9 of them, some to trade up in the draft and some for later picks in future years. But I think I would give the Chiefs an A minus of a draft. They addressed a lot of positional needs, and they got a lot of great value picks. So very, very good draft for them. Next team is the Jets, the team that probably had the best draft of anybody. I mean, listen to this. No one thought that these 3 players could have ended up possibly on the same team, but they did, all the Jets. Sauce Gardner, the best corner in the draft, in my opinion. Garrett Wilson, the best wide receiver in the draft, in my opinion, and in most people's opinion. And then Jermaine Johnson II, who, in my opinion, is the 3rd best edge rusher in this class. Then they got Breece Hall early in the 2nd round, the best running back in the draft. So the Jets basically got the best player at 3 different positions and 3 positions that were a need. The New York Jets, I think, had the biggest win of the NFL draft. I give them an A+ for their selections and how it all fell for them. And now then there's the Patriots. And the New England Patriots, this may be one of the worst drafts I've ever seen for a single team ever. And this was just ugly, and I really don't know what direction the New England Patriots think they're going in. I don't even know if they know what direction they're going in, but they have a number 21 overall pick, and I'm thankful for this because I'm a Chiefs fan, and this enabled them to be able to do this. But they had a number 20 at the 21 overall pick. They had Trent McDuffie fall into their laps, the undisputed 3rd best corner in this draft. And it was a position of need. They needed help at the cornerback position. And this guy falls to their laps, and then they trade out with a playoff rival in the Kansas City Chiefs, who they will have to face if they want to get back to a Super Bowl, and let the Chiefs get him, and that was a position of need for the Chiefs. And then to add to it, and I'm glad because I'm a Chiefs fan, so it's great for me. And then with their selection that they got from the Chiefs when they traded down, they picked Cole Strange, a guy who wasn't projected to go until late 3rd round, early 4th round. Sean McVay made a joke about it, saying, "Oh man, I was grading Cole Strange, wondering if we could get him in the 4th round, but I guess not." Basically saying that was a 4th round pick. What the heck? So he was poking fun there of Bill Belichick. And look, this is not a hate on Cole Strange. I didn't even know who Cole Strange was. I did hear the name, and I knew who he was, but I didn't know much about him. But after doing more research, Cole Strange is a 24-year-old Division II offensive guard. He's 24 years old. He stayed in college longer because of the pandemic, which is the case with a lot of people in this draft. But there was options that weren't that age. And to add to it, he's a D2 player, and you're picking him in the 1st round. So let's say that, let's say, for example, Cole Strange was the Patriots' best player on their board. This is the player they wanted over anybody. Smart business would have been to not take him in the 1st round, because if you truly believe that all the other teams are overlooking Cole Strange and that he is going to be so good, you can still take him later in the draft, because you shouldn't be worried about somebody taking him in the 1st or 2nd round. But they take him in the 1st round. It doesn't make much sense at all. So knowing this, they traded back with the Chiefs because they knew they could have gotten him at 29. But how about trading even further back? You know you can get him in the early 3rd round. So why not keep trading back from 29 and keep trading back and keep getting an extra 3rd or 4th round pick for next year instead of just taking him right there? It's just bad business. They weren't utilizing their options when taking Cole Strange. If Cole Strange was the first guy they wanted to take in their draft, go ahead. I don't like it, but if you're going to do that, at least trade down a bit and, get some extra picks for it instead of taking him right there first in the 1st round. Going back to Taekwon Thornton, I mean, like I said, they took Taekwon Thornton over George Pickens, Alec Pierce, and Skye Moore. 3 guys who are proven to be better. This feels like the N'Keal Harry pick all over again. Picking N'Keal Harry over other proven guys like DK Metcalf, or even took a N'Keal Harry over Deebo Samuel and DK Metcalf. It's the same thing all over again, and it's just a pick that really does not make sense value-wise. This is another guy you can get in the 3rd or 4th round. And, you know, Bill Belichick has a history of not picking well in the 1st round, but you gotta think he's the greatest coach of all time, and you gotta think in a draft that is very important to the future of this team with the rest of the AFC heating up, that he would have he would have made some smarter selections. But who knows, maybe we're all wrong. Maybe these guys will turn out to be future Hall of Famers. But I don't think so. I really don't see it. So yeah, I mean, it may sound insane to say this at this point, but with what's happened in this NFL draft, I think the New England Patriots may be the worst team in their own division. You know, I was I was high on them last year, thinking that they would take that division from the Patriots even before they made their mid-season run. But things have really gotten bad there. I think that, you know, some of these coaching staff hiring, some of these draft picks, I can't get behind any of it. I think the Bills are clearly a better team right now than them. I think the Dolphins are a better team right now than them, and let's not forget that the Dolphins sweeped the Patriots last year in the regular season. And now this is where it gets really wild, but yeah, I think the Jets are a better team right now than the New England Patriots. I mean, I think Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson, but that's about the only category that the Patriots win in. Running back, the Jets just got Breece Hall. The Patriots, Damian Harris, I mean, come on. At wide receiver, the Jets now have Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, and Elijah Moore. The Patriots have Nelson Aguilar, and that's about it. The Jets have a better offensive line. The Jets have a better front seven, I would say now at this point. The Jets just got Sauce Gardner. The Patriots' best corner is Malcolm Butler, for crying out loud. So, I mean, I think the Patriots are in severe trouble. Forget not winning their division. I think there's a strong possibility. I think it's more than likely they do miss the playoffs, and I think there is a strong possibility that they finish last in their division. The only thing that keeps me from thinking this team is going to completely collapse is they have the greatest coach of all time. But, you know, at this point, you gotta say, all right, well, he's the greatest coach of all time, but are the wheels falling off there already? Yeah, I mean, enough on the Patriots. But overall, yeah, this was a pretty interesting NFL draft. Comment down below what you guys think about all these draft picks. It would be very interesting to see how this all plays out. Another side note, in the draft, it was announced the Chiefs and Chargers will be playing in Week 2. Very excited for that Thursday night game, the first NFL game ever that will be exclusively televised on Prime Video. So make sure y'all get Prime Video by the time that happens. But other than that, I will see you guys next time. Wild